Indonesia Tzu Chi volunteers work with the military entrepreneurs to distribute supplies to the needy. A student in Liancheng studies diligently and saves money to help her impoverished family. Welcome to DaAiHeadlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. Under the pandemic, the lives of poor families have worsened. In Indonesia, Tzu Chi once again cooperated with the military, police, and entrepreneurs to distribute supplies to 100 families in need.
The house was pitched in many places. This is where Agus, who lost his job due to the pandemic, and his mother, who has suffered a stroke, live.
Life is really hard. I haven't paid the rent for 3 months. Fortunately, the landlord can understand our situation. 3 meals a day are a problem for us. Sometimes the neighbor will give us some food.
Neighbor Rasmi is also in a very difficult situation. She was owed a month's salary by the restaurant owner. She can only rely on her 70-year-old husband, who is hearing impaired, to survive through scavenging. Learning about their situations, Tzu Chi once again cooperated with the local organization to distribute 10 kilograms of rice and 20 maxes to each household.
At present, we are in Senopati Dalam. Today is the second distribution. We have distributed 50 sets last time, and today we have distributed 100.
I'm really grateful that I have received assistance during the pandemic. Although the rest of the food is finished, fortunately there's the most important rice.
The pandemic has aggravated poverty, but with the mutual assistance, they can get through the difficulties.
Thailand's economy mainly depends on tourism industry, but has been seriously affected by the pandemic. The government has proposed a number of subsidies to stimulate public consumption. At the same time, with the introduction of vaccines, people are optimistic about this year's prosperity.
Since the outbreak of the pandemic last year, Thailand's economy has been hit hard. According to the Office of the National Economic and Social Development Council, Thailand's GDP has been affected by the pandemic, especially its major industry is tourism. Last year, the GDP has decreased by 6.1%, which was the largest economic contraction in Thailand since the Asian financial crisis in the past 22 years.
Since the pandemic hit hard in March last year, most people have faced difficulties, whether they are income or expenditure-related issues. People from all walks of life are affected. Even large companies are no exception.
Since the end of 2020, the pandemic has gradually eased. After the government relaxed restrictions, domestic activities resumed one after another. A number of economic revitalization programs and consumption stimulus measures have also been enforced. Therefore, the government expects the economy to grow by 2.5 to 3.5% this year.
If the customers do not have income, they won't have money to buy things. So the government has launched a subsidy program. People can get the subsidy by downloading an electric wallet so that more people can have money to buy things.
Today, I used the We Want to Win government subsidies program to buy food. Whichever store can use this program, I will then go there to buy things to reduce the family burden.
In addition, the COVID vaccination is the hope of the Thai government to restore its tourism industry, which is its economic pillar.
If there is a vaccine, everyone can be protected, so the economy can start and the country can be open for foreigners to come. Some people can do business and employees can also come back to work.
Vaccination can make global entrepreneurs and travelers more confident to come to Thailand. And for the world rankings, in fact, Thailand is one of the countries with better anti-pandemic performance.
Thailand's Minister of Finance Akom said that Thailand's GDP is expected to grow by 4% in 2021, but it depends on the growth of exports, the recovery of the tourism industry, and the efficiency of the vaccination plan for pandemic control.
To restore the economy mainly depends on external factors. It is expected that Thailand's tourism industry will begin to recover in the fourth quarter of this year. If we can do a good job in pandemic prevention so that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention can relax travel restrictions, this will indeed help a lot.
On the first day of COVID vaccinations in Taiwan, Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital received 500 doses, and the Hualien Tzu Chi Medical Center received 1,400 doses. Some medical staff vaccine recipients say that after vaccination, there was no discomfort.
On the first day of administering the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, doctors and nurses in Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital took turns getting vaccinated.
Every unit takes turns getting the vaccines in batches. So in case there's a fever or a side effect or muscle soreness, this does not reduce our service. Each person is given 4 pills for muscle soreness and fever in case they need it. They don't have to go to the clinic again because we already prepared this.
Frontline medical care such as emergency and intensive care units are the primary targets of the initial vaccine distribution, giving them an extra layer of protection.
There are also many incidences where we treat foreigners and their families, and having an extra layer of protection is always good. If more and more people get the vaccine, it'll help open our country's borders in the future.
I think it's less painful than a flu shot. So far, I don't feel any discomfort. It's just like any other vaccine. Prevention is better than a cure.
Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital inoculated 20 people on the first day and will also serve other colleagues in other medical institutions. In the morning, the superintendent of the Hualien Tzu Chi Medical Center also led 22 medical staff in the hospital to deliver vaccines.
The AZ vaccine is actually an adenovirus vaccine. That's the vaccine we use to fight against the cold virus. It's the same, but the protein for the virus like COVID-19 basically is safe.
Frontline medical staff are an important checkpoint for epidemic prevention, and only by doing a good job of protecting them can we keep the community as well as hospitals truly safe.
In fact, we're on the front line of maintaining people's health. So if medical care workers go down first, then other people will also go down, as there will be no one to treat patients. That's why I think it's necessary to get vaccinated. Even though there's not a trend of it in Taiwan at the current moment, it is best to be prepared first.
After the vaccine is administered, you must rest on the spot for 30 minutes before leaving. Follow-up work is important as hospital staff will continue to track colleagues' physical reactions to ensure safety of the vaccine.
In Taiwan, people have been looking forward to receiving COVID-19 vaccination shots. Experts say that if we reach herd immunity, we can lift pandemic prevention measures. What is herd immunity? That is, in a country, if a certain percentage of people have immunity, the infectious disease cannot spread. Let's learn more. In the commercial district, life goes on, but people are looking forward to the day when they can be free from pandemic restriction measures.
After the pandemic is over, I want to travel abroad. I went to Japan before, but I have not gone there for a long time. I want to go to Hokkaido.
I hope that we do not need to wear masks. Wearing masks is very inconvenient and hot.
Everyone has expectations, but they still cannot see the end to the pandemic. If people want to take off their masks and have the pandemic prevention measures lifted, they need to rely on herd immunity.
It means that in this group, there are enough people with immunity. Therefore, as the infectious diseases appear, it cannot spread to more than one person. Over a period of time, the bacteria will disappear and it cannot spread.
For the bacteria to disappear, that sounds like a faraway goal. However, it is not the first time we face the threat of bacteria. This is the injection room in the hospital. Children in Taiwan should have come to a place like this. After birth, they need to receive more than 10 vaccinations. As long as other children are vaccinated, they can reach herd immunity. Hepatitis A, Hepatitis B, BCG vaccine 4-in-1, 5-in-1. Newborns vaccination rate has reached 99%. In Taiwan, child's polio has been eliminated 34 years after the vaccination began. However, measles, which is more infectious, still has some overseas cases after 40 years.
Other countries, measles vaccinations might not be mandatory. In these countries, there are cases of measles taking place.
When the infection rate of this disease is very high, we need to have a higher percentage of people with immunity, so this disease can start spreading.
In just several months, COVID-19 has been spreading globally with a high infectious rate. On average, one person can spread a disease to 3 other people. To stop the spread of disease, at least 2 people need to be vaccinated. As a whole, 66% of the population needs to be vaccinated to reach herd immunity. But there are a lot of challenges.
Currently, we can see that the COVID-19 vaccinations have different impact on different races and different vaccination intervals.
Therefore, if the effect of the vaccination is not good, you won't achieve herd immunity no matter what.
The protection of the vaccines has become the key. Taiwan has been purchasing at least 30 million vaccines through multiple channels. However, different brands of vaccines have different effects, and the vaccinated population varies by 20%. In addition, it is difficult to calculate the dosage and effect of the vaccines. To ensure one's safety, one might take a step.
Everyone has to think of a way to get vaccinated, and they need to have effective vaccines. It is best to have a blood test and prove that one has the antibodies. If you do, you can go to many places, and in fact, you can return to normal life.
Experts point out that the best choice is to have the entire population receive vaccinations. However, that depends on getting enough vaccines and the confidence of the people. As people get vaccinated, we're a step closer to returning to normal life. Tzu Chi Academy of Northern Toronto has changed their annual Jingzi efforts and competition to an online competition. The students have created videos to translate their understanding of Jingzi aphorisms.
天天做好事，事事来洗衫。哭脸哭脸没人要，笑脸对人别人也会笑。
For the online Jingzi aphorism story competition hosted by the Tzu Chi Academy in Northern Toronto, each student comes up with the best way to showcase the aphorism.
玫瑰玫瑰你好美丽，我可以跟你一起看电视吗？不要给我讲话。
Some have also edited their own videos for submission.
同学，大家好，我是6年级班的张硕林。今天我要讲的题目是感恩心。
Although some of them are still learning Chinese, I have seen their efforts in participation. The older kids are able to incorporate Jingzi aphorisms in their lives and have also applied it to their schoolwork.
With the closure of the lessons of the Tzu Chi Academy due to COVID, the students have begun to learn at home and are actualizing the lessons they have learned into their lives.
In Liancheng, China, Jie Hualien is a student from an impoverished family. However, she's very diligent and saved her money so that her family can have a better life.
Gently cleaning the foot of her grandfather, this is Jie Hualien, who is in the 11th grade this year. The first thing she does when she heads back home every week is to accompany her 90-year-old grandfather.
When the weather turned cold, I headed over to the supermarket and bought 2 bottles of lotion. One is for myself when I'm at school, while the other is for my family members because my mother's feet will crack when it's cold. If I spend less money on food and other items, I can save the money, and after a week, I'm able to buy the lotion for them.
Her grandmother had Parkinson's disease, her mother is mentally challenged, and her brother has autism. As the family's financial all depends on her father. But when Jie Hualien is in the 10th grade, everything changed.
That day, I brought my son to reapply for his disability card. On our way home, we got into an accident. My life was actually saved by my daughter.
Her father was in a coma, her brother had fractured limbs, and her grandmother passed away suddenly. Jie Hualien held back her sorrow as she worked hard to collect money for the medical fees while also seeking assistance from Tzu Chi.
Back then, I thought that if she was my daughter, how would I help her?
Later on, I went to the house of the person who hit me in the accident. I went to thank him and ask him if he know about Tzu Chi. He said he heard before, and I told him I really thank him. If it wasn't because of him, I might not be able to get in touch with Tzu Chi. It's Tzu Chi who helped me through the tough times.
Now our lives have become better, and I will start to think about my grandma, as she is unable to enjoy all of these anymore.
She was able to let go of the pain inside her heart by volunteering. At the end of 2020, their father brought the pair of siblings to volunteer in the Winter Warmth event, which brought an unexpected surprise to her. As she bends down and accompanied an elderly home, they were full of laughter and joy, filling up the missing holes in both their hearts. With warm hugs, it is a promise for the next time when they meet again.
Taipei City Hospital has a workshop program for disadvantaged families. City volunteers in Neihu are partnering up with them to help families in need.
Recyclables of all kinds are piled up in front of the home, and the living room is filled with clothes and other miscellaneous items. This is the home of single parent Miss Zhu. Zhu has diabetes and takes care of 3 children, 2 of whom are disabled. The family is under the care of an associated program under the Taipei City Hospital.
This family has children who have mental illness, and their financial situation isn't well. We have gathered the strength of the community to help this disadvantaged family.
The help the therapist speaks of is a community outreach program they are promoting right now to help the disadvantaged in their own neighborhood. Tzu Chi volunteers from Neihu also mobilized 10 people to help Miss Zhu.
We have helped this family before in a cleanup, but they weren't able to maintain it. This time, the therapist said, if we help organize, they will keep an eye on the family to encourage them to keep it clean. Of course, we will also continue to visit this family each month.
The volunteers put in a lot of effort to clean up the living room, kitchen, and bathroom.
Seeing how much of a mess it is, I'm glad we can come help her clean up so she can have a cleaner home to live in.
After dusting off the layers of filth that has accumulated in the room, the volunteers laid out mattresses and blankets so the family may sleep in their bedroom once more.
I hope after our help at the beginning and our continual follow-up, this family can become better and better.
The volunteers' hard work and the word of thanks of the owner has made the effort worthwhile and has also set up a good community relationship amongst everyone.
In Banqiao's Chishao class, volunteers organize a cooking lesson so that the children can have hands-on experience on how to make vegetarian dishes.
Adding in various types of mushrooms and baby corn into the hot pan, and then adding in potato starch. Maybe most of you have already guessed it. They are preparing vegetarian fried oyster. For this month's Chishao lesson in Banqiao, they are learning how to cook.
Children nowadays might not like vegetarian food that much. However, if they are learning and cooking by themselves, because of the hands-on experience, I think they will like vegetarian food more. When they were testing the food, I saw that they were very happy.
With the demonstration by the volunteers, the Chishaos have a lot of confidence and they put on their best show and prepare the dishes. Some teams even changed their dishes and made okonomiyaki and vegetarian scallops.
Animals are very pitiful and we should not harm them anymore. If we eat fruits and vegetables, we can also lead a healthy life.
Previously at home, my mom would cook 3 meat dishes and 1 veggie dish as our meal. Later on, we changed into 3 veggie dishes and 1 meat dish per meal. I think that eating vegetables is very good, as it is very nutritious too.
As the young children learn how to cook vegetarian dishes, not only can they reduce carbon footprint, but it can also reduce the rate of global warming, as protecting the earth begins from our meal tables.
Some people say that the 3 things Taiwanese people must do, one of which is climbing Yushan. Whether it's climbing Yushan or some 100 other challenging peaks in Taiwan, many people say the greatest thrill is the sense of accomplishment. Coming home safely is something that takes lots of practice.
During the New Year's Day holiday in 2021, 13 students from Hualien's National Donghua University Experimental Primary School successfully climbed 3 high mountains over 3,000 meters above sea level, which included peaks along Hualien Mountain. Under the leadership of their teachers, they successfully completed this difficult challenge.
The greatest impression on me was the fact that we climbed the North Peak. This is because we had a lot of training at the beginning, and then we climbed up that day. And that day, we had to carry a heavy bag and wear a coat and go through this very difficult journey. Although it's very near, but it's very narrow, slanted, and difficult to walk.
Elementary school students follow the lead of teachers, but what about adults? According to Fire Bureau statistics, the age group of most mountain accidents is mainly between 40 and 69 years old, with 50 to 59 years old accounting for the highest proportion.
Today, I'm climbing a suburban mountain and I just use simple equipment. There are trekking poles and hats which are a must. Then there are gloves and backpacks. We must have enough water, and because the road is slippery if it rains, we must wear rain boots. Our nets are afraid of the cold, and if it's hot, we just pick this up and wipe off the sweat. If we go up, we'll drink some warm water.
This mountaineering club, formed by a group of retired people in Hualien, does not overestimate physical fitness and does not underestimate the importance of training, as 2 days a week they have a fixed practice time. They chose Liu Mountain at an altitude of 600 meters and travel in a straight line to maintain physical fitness and train muscle strength.
登山就是要注意安全呐，毕竟我们年纪有了，不要去扭伤脚或者跌倒，那对我们的身体都一大伤害。
起登一定是很辛苦啊。
Hiking is definitely hard, but after about half an hour, your body begins to warm up and feel more comfortable. You have to work on your breathing, as some people are in a rush and breathe too hard, which made them more tired the longer they hike.
Yang Ying-an started to learn mountaineering in her 50s. So far, she has conquered more than 60 top peaks in Taiwan, as she says it's important to follow a familiar team.
Yushan, Xueshan, Nanhu Mountain, Dabajie Mountain, and also those abroad. I had started and did not know anything at the beginning, as I just followed experienced people who kept me going, as I kept scolding myself, thinking why not just sleep at home? Why do I have to wake up so early? Sometimes climbing in the dark, such as Dashan, you need to get up at 2 or 3 o'clock. It's a hard hike, but after reaching the top and taking a look at the scenery and a photo on a tripod, I started to think about the next hike and when will we do it again.
It rained heavily in Hualien the day before our interview, making the steps at Liu Mountain very wet and slippery. Thankfully, Mr. Zhang teaches us the tricks of walking down the mountain path in safety.
You usually have to exercise. You really only have to come and do it and don't wait till it is too late.
Working hard to get acquainted with each other makes everyone better adapted to changing climates and conditions in the mountains.
In Malaysia, Malacca city volunteers work with the shopping square to promote vegetarianism. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.